Today on Dose of Dossier, we expose the invisible borders of 5 sovereign enclaves operating under their own laws, while physically surrounded by global superpowers. We peel back the diplomatic immunity shielding these high-stakes anomalies, tracing how they maintain absolute autonomy. These geopolitical ghosts defy international recognition, yet they exercise power that mainstream authorities refuse to acknowledge. Right now, you are likely standing within the borders of a superpower, a nation with a flag, a constitution, a government that claims absolute authority over every inch of its land. But what if I told you there are sovereign nations hidden inside these countries, and the government publicly refuses to acknowledge them? These 5 micronations have their own laws, their own flags, their own leaders. They sign contracts, enforce rules, run digital courts, and yet they remain invisible to the naked eye. No border crossings, no immigration stamps, no official recognition. Most people will live their entire lives never knowing these defiant territories exist right under their noses. And in 2026, they have quietly become the world's most powerful economic shadow states. Welcome to the dossier. Segment 1. What are economic shadow states? These enclaves are not fantasy micronations, like abandoned oil rigs or backyard kingdoms. They are legally ambiguous territories operating within, but technologically outside major superpowers. Some are charter cities. Some are special economic corridors. Others are privately administered districts with experimental governance frameworks. But in practice, they function as sovereign financial and technological havens. Places where artificial intelligence development is unrestricted, where decentralized finance platforms operate without central bank oversight, where digital courts replace state judicial systems. In 2026, regulation has tightened across the United States, the European Union, and China. AI models require licensing. Crypto exchanges face strict compliance laws. Data sovereignty rules limit cross-border flows. So innovation moves somewhere else. It moved to the cracks in the system. Segment 2. The premier hubs of unregulated AI and DeFi shadow states have become elite laboratories for the future. Inside them, AI researchers train models without content restrictions imposed by national regulators. Autonomous agents trade markets. Decentralized hedge funds operate purely on-chain. Algorithmic governance experiments run in real time. Developers who feel constrained in Silicon Valley or Berlin relocate digitally, routing operations through these enclaves. Servers aren't hosted locally. They're routed through private satellite arrays, offshore data vaults, mesh network relays. This allows full-stack technological independence. And because these zones operate under private charters, they don't answer to traditional ministries or federal regulators. Instead, they answer to enclave administrators. Which brings us to the most controversial element of all. Segment 3. The handshake agreements. If these zones are technically illegal, why do they still exist? Because of what insiders call handshake agreements. Unofficial understandings between superpower leadership and enclave administrators. No press conferences. No signed treaties. Just strategic tolerance. In exchange for being left alone, these enclaves provide back-channel services. Experimental AI research too politically risky to conduct publicly discreet financial liquidity during sanctions or economic instability. Cybersecurity infrastructure testing. Quiet diplomatic communication platforms. They function as pressure valves for powerful nations. Governments can publicly denounce decentralized finance, while privately benefiting from its liquidity pipelines. They can regulate AI development, while indirectly observing frontier experimentation from a safe distance. Plausible deniability is the currency. and everyone understands the arrangement. Segment 4. The infrastructure of technological decoupling. What makes these micronations truly sovereign isn't land. It's infrastructure. First, independent satellite arrays. Several of these enclaves lease bandwidth from private aerospace firms, routing communications outside national telecom grids. This means domestic internet shutdowns don't affect them. Second, parallel power systems. Micro-modular reactors, solar-dense grids, isolated energy clusters that allow operations without relying on national utilities. Third, decentralized identity systems. Residents and digital citizens authenticate through blockchain-based identity networks rather than state-issued credentials. Fourth, legal firewalls. Contracts are enforced through smart arbitration systems. Disputes are resolved digitally, often outside host nation courts. This creates something extraordinary: a territory physically located within a superpower, but technologically and economically detached from it. A nation within a nation. Invisible, yet operational. Segment 5. Why most people never notice. Because nothing about these enclaves looks dramatic. They may occupy a financial district, a tech campus, a repurposed industrial zone. No border walls, no military checkpoints, just fiber cables, server farms, satellite uplinks. To an ordinary citizen walking past, it's just another building. But inside, autonomous economies are being tested. Digital currencies move billions. AI models evolve beyond regulatory frameworks. Governance systems run on code instead of politics. These are not rebellions. They are experiments. Segment 6. The geopolitical risk. The existence of shadow states introduces a paradox. If they succeed, they prove traditional governance can be bypassed. If they fail, the fallout could spill directly into the host nation's economy. And if relations sour, a superpower could shut them down overnight. Or attempt to. But here's the complication. By 2026, these enclaves are no longer small. Their digital GDP rivals mid-sized nations. Their networks span continents. Their economic leverage grows yearly. Shutting them down would mean disrupting innovation pipelines governments quietly depend on. And so the silence continues. Closing right now, you are standing inside a country that claims sovereignty over everything within its borders. But somewhere nearby, possibly in your own city, there may be a district operating under an entirely different set of rules. Different courts, different currencies, different loyalties. Invisible sovereign territories. Not recognized, not acknowledged, yet undeniably real in their economic power. The question isn't whether shadow states exist. The question is, in a world where technology moves faster than law, who actually controls the future?